Hey guys, it's Pastor Cameron. We are back with another Gospel According to Disney. Now, this next movie is a very special request from a very special friend of mine, Zoe G. So I hope you are doing very well. I love you and I miss you. Today we're going to be talking about Frozen. The first one, not the second one. So if you haven't seen the first Frozen, go watch it right now. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. So Frozen is a story about two sisters, Anna and Elsa. And Elsa has ice powers. Now, when she's younger, she gets in a little bit of trouble with them, and her parents have to take her to the Enchanted Forest to go talk to some trolls about her ice powers. And so she grows up being very, very afraid of her ice powers to the point where she runs away and tries to live in isolation, kind of how we are right now. But her sister comes back and tries to get her back because their kingdom that they are ruling, Arendelle, is in trouble. It is buried under snow. So through a very long and strenuous story, it's a very good movie, but it's very long, and they go through a lot. Anna has a boyfriend who betrays her. Spoiler alert, sorry about that. And in the end, Elsa has to heal Anna because Anna gets hurt by her powers, and in the end everything's happy and snowy and all of that. So if none of that made sense, please go watch the movie. But since you're here, you probably have seen Frozen. So let's talk about what in the world does this have to do with the Bible. And it's so great because there's different elements with it having to do with a lot of things we're dealing with right now: fear, family, and overcoming that. Overcoming fear. So let's talk about when Elsa was a child. So she's playing with Anna, and she kind of does her ice powers. Anna loves her ice powers, and they play together all the time. But in one incident, she actually hurts Anna with her ice powers. And at that point, her parents take her to these little troll things that understand enchantment and magic and everything. And the eldest troll goes to the parents and tells them that we need to help her with these powers, because as she grows, her power grows and they only get stronger. And but the thing about it is that what makes it out of control is fear. So we can't, help her not to be afraid of her powers. But in fear, her parents decide to lock her up and isolate her to keep her away from everybody else, so that she does not harm herself or others with her ice powers. And in the movie, you kind of level with them because they don't have ice powers, so they don't really know how to handle the situation either. So you kind of forgive them a little bit, but it does create this distance between her and her sister, which later on, because their parents end up dying, is very it leaves like a gap between these sisters. So there's no real connection with them, although Anna really wants that. So what we're getting here is that fear causes isolation, and fear causes separation. So there are over 300 times in the Bible where it tells us not to fear. So there's times when angels have told humans not to fear. God tells leaders not to fear as he's about to bring them into battle. Jesus tells us not to fear, just no fear, because we realize what fear does, and it causes isolation and it causes separation. And what we find out later is that there is no fear in love. And Anna is so desperate for love because she doesn't have her parents now. She has no connection with her sister. So the first man that comes to her and says, let's get married, she's like, yes, let's do it. Because she craves that love so much. She just was just so hungry for love. So of course she ends up falling for the bad guy, which you find that out in the end. Again, spoiler alert, I'm so sorry. But later on, we go through, and Elsa has created this little snowman, Olaf. We love Olaf. And he just represents complete innocence and just pure love, because Olaf loves nothing but warm hugs. So he is helping the girls kind of connect and teaching them that as well. So in the protection of Olaf, they now have to protect the love that they have for each other. And so, like I said, a whole bunch of characters, but I want to fast forward all the way to the end where Anna actually sacrifices herself for Elsa. She finds out that her boyfriend's no good, drops that guy like hotcakes. He's got to go. So that guy tries to come at her with a sword, and Elsa again is just paralyzed with fear. And so she first of all causes this huge blizzard to freeze her kingdom. But now there's nothing she can do about it, just because she is so afraid of everything. She's just so, like I said, paralyzed by that fear. But Anna, in her love for her sister, just has this moment of bravery where she steps in front of that sword. And at the same time, she is still dealing with that hurt that Elsa gave her when she zapped her with the ice powers. That's my ice powers. but so she is actually on her own way to just perishing at that moment. Like, she's already dying, her hair is like turning white and everything, but she still has that surge of bravery because of the love for her sister, where she stands in front of that sword and ends up like breaking the sword so it can't even come down on either of them, but she's completely frozen. She's gone. And so Elsa is just crying, and she's holding like the ice sculpture that her sister is right now. And, you know, as she's crying these tears, she begins to melt, because of course a perfect sacrifice is the way to just save the day, right? So Anna has done that. She has this sacrifice. So she begins thawing, she begins melting. And again, that love that they have for each other and that bond that they've created over this movie, and then eventually the sacrifice, it causes her to thaw and everything to go back again. And you even see it at the end of the movie when they're trying to figure out again, how are we supposed to thaw Arendelle right now? And so they begin talking about love, and Elsa realizes that that's the way that she can control her powers, is through love. And so she starts going, love, and she just again, that's like, she's not Spider-Man. I don't know why I keep doing that. But she thaws Arendelle with this idea that fear causes her to lose control, but love actually brings her powers and begins to make it make sense. So now she can really contribute to her community and in her kingdom with the love that she has for her kingdom and for her sister. And so now they get to have like ice skating parties and all that. But what I want to get at is the verse that perfect love casts out all fear. Look that up in the Bible. Perfect love casts out all fear. So again, when you're afraid, we tend to make bad choices when we're afraid, just because we feel like they're the only choices we can make, or they're like just in an instant the choices that we needed to make at the time. But in reality, we can make some pretty bad decisions when we are paralyzed by fear, when we can't even think correctly because we're so afraid. But that's why the Bible tells us so many times, don't be afraid. And so that's kind of easy to think about. It's an easy concept to say out loud, well, just don't be afraid. But it doesn't mean that we don't become afraid sometimes. It doesn't mean that we don't get scared of certain situations. But that's where love comes in. Love casts out fear. It gets rid of fear. When we remember that we are not alone, when we remember that there's a family that is surrounding us, whether it's your family at home, whether it's your church family or your school, your team, all the friends that you have, and most importantly, God's love is perfect. So when we're talking about that perfect love, it's true love that comes from God and helps us to not be afraid, and also make those rash decisions or treat people in a different way because we're afraid, or even like I said, making those bad decisions based on fear. We don't want to do that. We want to walk in love. So especially with everything that's going on right now, please remember that even though things may seem scary, and they are, let's be honest, sometimes things are really, really scary, but we believe in a God that has perfect love for us, and so he's going to watch over us, and he is going to help us walk through this every single day. And so in the meantime, we can use that love to bless others, the same way Elsa had her ice powers now, and she's like making fun art for kids, and again, they're ice skating, having parties, and maybe just a little bit of snow. I wouldn't even mind a little bit of snow right now. You know, how fun would that be? You're like in quarantine, and then you can go sledding for a little bit. Either way. So now we can do that with a perfect love that God gives us. So how are we going to show love to others today with the perfect love that God gave us? So think about that a little bit. Talk about that with your family, and give me another Disney movie to do. Thank you so much, Zoe G, for this episode of The Gospel According to Disney. That was Frozen. No, I'm not going to do Frozen 2, because that one, I gotta think about that one. That was weird. It was a lot. But anyway, I love you guys. I'm going to see you guys later. Bye-bye.